determine the issues surrounding the incidents. And during these meetings, the committee was able to point out the possible root causes of these problems, such as regulations, fiscal limitations, management issues, and incompetence of personnel, among others. At the height of all these problems besetting the aviation industry, this representation believes that discussing the proposals before us is very timely to re-evaluate the existing organizational setup of CAAP and determine what needs to be done to strengthen its regulatory functions towards achieving a more safe, secure, convenient, and efficient air transport. Another proposal under this item is a bill seeking the establishment of a CAAP Development Fund. While the objective of the measure, which seeks to upgrade CAAP's standards, systems, and procedures, is laudable, we need to hear the government agencies and private stakeholders on the several issues, particularly on the matter of funding vis-a-vis the government fiscal priorities. For the second item, we'll be discussing a bill proposing for the regulation of drones. At present, the CAAP provides for the regulation pertaining to registration and operation of drones. Before approving this measure, we need to discuss whether the existing regulations are sufficient or there is a need to pass a law regulating the operation of drones, taking into consideration the issues relating to safety, security, and privacy. For our last item, we'll be deliberating on a measure which seeks to define expressways and set the speed limits for motor vehicles using the toll roads, thereby amending several sections of Republic Act number 4136 or the Land Transportation and Traffic Code. The Toll Regulatory Board currently regulates the operation of these facilities, classifying the vehicles that may be allowed to use them, as well as the speed limits that must be observed while using the facilities, among others. Like the previous item, we need to determine through this forum whether we need to enact legislation taking into consideration safety and efficiency issues, as well as the effectiveness of the existing regulations. Without further ado, let's proceed with our first item. May I now recognize the authors of the CAAP bills to sponsor and elaborate on the measures. For House Bill number 1552, the author is the Honorable Representative Jose Maria Zubiri Jr. Are you with us, Honorable Zubiri?
Mr. Chair, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 1552 be adopted as the sponsorship remarks of Representative Jose Maria Zubiri Jr.
Any second?
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. For House Bill number 4928, establishment of CAAP flight standards Inspectorate centers in the Visayas and Mindanao by the Honorables Duterte and Eric Goyap.
Mr. Chair, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 4928 be adopted as the sponsorship remarks of Representatives Paolo Duterte and Eric Goyap.
Any second? Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. But before we proceed, the chair would acknowledge the physical presence of the Honorable Ronald Singson, representing the 1st District of the Province of Ilocos. Magandang umaga po. For House Bill number 6774, separating the regulatory and commercial functions of CAAP by the Honorable Gus Tambunting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the Honorable Gato is recognized.
in behalf of Honorable Gus Tambunting, I have the honor to sponsor House Bill number 6774 and move that the explanatory note be adopted as the sponsorship speech. So I so
Second.
move, Mr. Chair.
Any objection?
Second.
The motion is carried. For House Bill number 7438, entitled Strengthening the CAAP by the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the Honorable Gato is recognized.
in behalf of Honorable Rufus Rodriguez, I have the honor to sponsor House Bill number 7438 and further move that the explanatory note be adopted as the sponsorship speech. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. We now go to House Bill number 5002, the establishment of a CAAP Development Fund by the Honorable Michael Romero. The Honorable assist you. Are you with us this morning? Honorable Dean assist you. Are you with us? Wala.
Mr. Chair, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 5002 be adopted as the sponsorship remarks of Representative Michael Romero.
Any second? Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Marami pong salamat sa ating mga kasamahan na nag-sponsor ng mga measures na ito. Now, may I give the floor to the agencies who are present with us, starting with the DOTR, to comment on the proposals to amend RA 9497, as well as the bill seeking the establishment of a CAAP Development Fund. Asik.
Yes. Good morning to the honorable members of the Committee on Transportation. For DOTR, Your Honors, we support measures which would separate CAAP's regulatory role from its proprietary functions, with of course CAAP keeping its regulatory role and the proprietary functions, such as, for example, airport development, being undertaken by other entities. We likewise, for DOTR, we likewise support measures that strengthens the CAAP's fiscal and administrative autonomy, which would therefore allow CAAP to, for example, pay its highly technical and other personnel's salary at a level commensurate with international standards. So given that, Your Honors, DOTR generally supports the aforementioned bills which are being considered by the committee. That is it for the DOTR, Your Honors.
Oh, bakit wala si Yosek Lim?
It's a conflict of schedules, Honorable Chairman Acop. I believe Yusek Lim has a board meeting as well. And I was, as ASEC, I was instructed to appear before the Honorable Committee this morning.
And that is the position of the OTR, the whole DOTR.
Yes, Your Honors, we generally support the pending bills. Of course, with understanding that that the matter stated will, of course, be subject to further refinement in a technical working group.
Mr. Chair, how about the other, may I comment on that statement of the ASEC? How about the other undersecretaries? You have 5 or 6 undersecretaries there.
Your Honors, the other undersecretaries are for different sectors, for rail, road, maritime. Yusek Lim and I are detailed with the aviation and aerospace sector.
Okay. Thank you. Before we proceed further, let me recognize the presence of the Honorable Fernando Cabredo, representing the 3rd District, the province of Albay, and the Honorable Leo de Tariela, representing the Lone District of the province of Occidental Mindoro. May we hear now from the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. Director General Mayor recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable Chairman Romeo Acop, Committee of Transportation, members of the Committee on Transportation, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. CAAP would like to extend its sincerest gratitude to the proponents of House Bill numbers 1552, 4928, 6774, 7438, 5002, and 7098, as these bills will surely help in strengthening the Philippine aviation industry. We strongly support any initiative that would empower us to better serve the flying public and to modernize our country's civil aviation industry. To further express our full support, we wish to state the following. First, the authority notes that House Bill number 1552 and 4928 both principally mandate the creation of at least one Flight Standards Inspectorate Center in Visayas and in Mindanao. We strongly commend this initiative. The creation of these centers would lead to a safer and more efficient air transportation system throughout the country. Meanwhile, the proposal to add development funding to CAAP by House Bill number 5002 is laudable. With a sharp decrease in passenger demand due to fear of COVID-19 and imposition of air travel restrictions, the civil aviation industry took the brunt of the pandemic. It admittedly became harder for us to focus on our developmental programs. Thus, it would be highly beneficial for CAAP to receive additional funding for our modernization efforts. As for House Bill number 6774, we support the intention of Congress to pass a measure separating the commercial operations of CAAP from its regulatory functions. We believe that this would improve the provision of safe and efficient air transport services to the flying public. It would be more efficient to transfer the responsibility to oversee development and operation of airports to a separate and independent government agency, such as a Philippine Airports Authority. However, we wish to clarify that CAAP should necessarily retain regulatory authority over issuance of necessary permits, such as height clearances, in order to ensure full compliance with the standards and requirements of the International Civil Aviation Organization. CAAP likewise commends the efforts to pass House Bill number 7438. It is high time to revisit the 15-year-old Republic Act 9497 and address what could be lacking therein. The authority wishes to express also its strong support for House Bill number 7098. Certainly, it's about time that we start regulating the ownership and operations of remotely piloted aircraft systems, or RPAS, or drones, considering the privacy and safety concerns that might arise when it comes to the operation of the same. In closing, I wish to reiterate CAAP's profound gratitude to the honorable members of this House for their efforts in addressing the limitations in CAAP's existing charter. The provisions of the discussed House bills will surely prove beneficial, not only to CAAP, but also to the riding public. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. ASEC Esquivel and DG Tamayo, could you please submit to the committee your position? Thank you. Now we go to the Civil Aeronautics Board. Is a representative around? You have the floor, madam.
Good morning, the honorable members of the House of Representatives, on behalf of the Civil Aeronautics Board, we fully support the enactment of the subject House bills that strengthens and widens the jurisdiction of the CAAP. Your Honors, the creation of the FSIS in other parts of the country would certainly make the services for aviation stakeholders accessible, convenient, and most likely more expeditious for everyone. So ultimately, this will be a worthy effort towards a more progressive economy, considering that air transportation facilitates the faster movement of people and flow of goods, investments, and services across the globe. Therefore, Your Honors, we fully convey our support and commitment towards any coordination on the implementation of the proposed law. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you. May I now recognize the presence of the Honorable Alfelito Alfel Bascog, representing the 1st District Province of Agusan del Sur, and the Honorable Wilbert Lee, representing Party List Agri. We now go to the Department of Finance. Do we have a representative of the Department of Finance today?
Mr. Chair.
Are you on Zoom?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please identify yourself and your position at the Department of Finance. You're recognized.
Good morning, honorable members of the House Committee on Transportation. I am Robert Dominic Mariano from the Bureau of the Treasury, Department of Finance. Mr. Chair, we wish to provide our comments, particularly on the provisions of House Bill 5002, setting up the development fund, the CAAP Development Fund. Mr. Chair, we find that the provision, although we support the intent of the bill, noting the critical role that the CAAP plays in our aviation sector, we do note that the setup of the development fund will run contrary or will not be in harmony with our cash management practices, particularly the one fund concept, since this will set up a separate fund outside of the Treasury, which will minimize or at least carve out from our ability to fund the priority programs of the government as approved by Congress, Mr. Chair.
May I request that you submit your position paper to this committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
And if I may also just provide one more comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you still have the floor.
Mr. Chair, we will also like to note the provisions under House Bill 7438, particularly Section 6, which seeks to amend Section 15 under which provides for the fiscal autonomy of the CAAP. We would just like to note, of course, we defer to the Department of Finance for their comments regarding this, but we note that this may impact the revenue collections of the national government, again, which we use to fund the approved GAA, and diminishing or exempting the CAAP from the provision of remitting dividends will impact, again, the fiscal position of the national government. And we will include this in our position paper also, Mr. Chair.
Are you through?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll repeat our request. Kindly submit your position paper to this committee.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We now go to the Department of...
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Benny Abante po.
Yes, the Honorable Abante is recognized.
I just would like a clarification to the statement of CAAP, no? How can they support with the good intention of the bill if that will go against the mandate of CAAP. Can he explain it to us thoroughly, please?
With your indulgence, Honorable Abante, we have to finish first, as we have agreed here,
Okay.
to let all the stakeholders come up with their position papers before the members of this committee will ask their questions.
Okay, very good. Well, that's good. At least I already have made it clear, so he will be prepared to answer it later on.
Thank you, Your Honor. The chair acknowledges the presence of the Honorable Ace Barbers, the chairman of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, representing the 2nd District of Surigao del Norte. Yung
Good morning,
committee niya, yun ang nagko-conduct ng hearing na pinakamahaba, umaabot ng 10 oras.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Your Honor. We have now the Department of Budget and Management. Is there any representative around? Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to all here present in this meeting. Thank you very much for inviting the DBM in this meeting. We have not yet submitted the official position paper of the DBM on the bills. However, we have our initial comment on House Bill 1552 and House Bill 4928. The bills do not directly involve funding from the national government since CAAP is a self-sustaining GOCC authorized to collect fees and charges to fund its operations. Inasmuch as CAAP is under the functional jurisdiction of the GCG on matters of organizational and staffing pattern pursuant to Republic Act 10149, we agree with the provision under the bill that the staffing pattern and personnel requirement be submitted to the GCG for approval po. On House Bill number 5002, we agree with the comment of Mr. Mariano of the BTR. We submit to the wisdom of Congress, Mr. Chair. However, on the development fund, as mentioned by Mr. Mariano, it is contrary with the one fund concept of the government. In addition, sir, as provided in the bill, the appropriations for the CAAP shall be included in the budget proposals under the DOTR, and the developmental fund shall be administered by the Secretary of the DOTR. In this regard, sir, may we note that although the CAAP is an attached corporation under the DOTR, wala po kasing program or activity under sa DOTR for the administration of funds for CAAP. So in this regard, we defer to DOTR as to the provision for the inclusion in their budget proposal, the developmental fund of the CAAP. Yun po muna, sir. We will submit po our official position paper on the matter. Salamat po.
And Madam, may we know the time frame when you will be able to submit your position paper?
Sir, as soon as it is approved and signed by the Secretary, we have already drafted the
So,
position paper po.
It is dependent on when your secretary will sign it. Ba? Kung hindi papasok o pipirma yung secretary ninyo, wala kayong may sasubmit.
Sir, ano naman po, yun po mga position papers na sinasubmit namin sa Office of the Secretary, lumalabas naman po, nasa-sign naman po.
Alam ko naman lumalabas siya. Hindi ko lang alam kung kailan. Actually, I've been too long here already and I've heard representatives of agencies coming here telling us that they will submit their position papers. Pero ang tagal dumating. So, that's why I'm asking you, Madam, kung kailan po pipirmahan ng inyong sekretary yun?
I will inform the Office of the Secretary the need for the soonest submission of the position paper po.
Thank you. This is part of the obligations and the functions of the secretary of your agency. Tama? Po. Kasi ginagawa na namin ang trabaho namin dito. Kasama yung secretary ninyo. Gawin din po niya yung obligasyon niya. Ano po? Thank you. We have now the Department of Foreign Affairs. Is there any representative around? On Zoom? Are you with us? Department of Foreign Affairs?
Yes, Your Honor. Magandang
Please.
umaga po sa inyo.
Please identify yourself and
Your Honor, my
position
name is
sa agency.
Mark Benigno from the Department of Foreign Affairs, Your Honor.
Anong division ka sa Department of Foreign Affairs?
Ano po, sir? Office of the Undersecretary for Civilian Security and Consular Affairs.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honors, we defer to the expertise of the line agencies when it comes to these matters, sir. Yun po ang position ng DFA, sir.
Pakiulit nga po.
Sir, Your Honor, your position po ng DFA is that we defer to the expertise of the other agencies when it comes to these matters, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We now go to the Department of Information and Communications Technology.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
morning,
you have the
member.
floor, and please
Honorable-
identify yourself.
Yes, Director Carlos Reyes of the Department of Information and Communications Technology. On behalf of the DICT, we would like to thank you for inviting us over. Generally, we support the proposals to amend the bill for the CAAP Law and the proposed establishment of the CAAP Development Fund. We'll be submitting our official positions, sir, specifically relative to the information and communications technology issues. Thank you, sir.
So in general, you're supporting the bills we're discussing today, and specifically, isasabit ninyo yung position paper ninyo.
Will do, Your Honor, at the earliest po.
After,
Give us 2 weeks, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now go to the Department of the Interior and Local Government. There's no representative. The Department of Labor and Employment.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Rosalinda Pineda po from the Department of Labor and Employment. We fully support po the proposed legislative measures which seek to amend certain provisions of RA 9497. We only have 3 points, Mr. Chair. The proposed amendment is actually timely since we are recovering from pandemic and that the riding public of air transportation are now confident in going from one place to another using the air transportation, and with the ultimate goal also of the CAAP to fully execute its mandate for the safety of the riding public and also to deliver efficient and public services through air transportation. Apart from that, the additional transportation office in the Visayas and Mindanao regions and additional personnel who would also complement the existing manpower of the CAAP would also generate employment that would recognize our local talents and skills pertinent to civil aviation. However, we respectfully recommend po sana the consolidation of the bills that would further for the inclusion of salient provisions of the 4 proposed measures, and to harmonize also the proposed legislation for the better, for a very more comprehensive amendment of RA 9497 po. That would be all for the Department of Labor and Employment, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much po.
Thank you, ma'am. Kindly submit your position paper also on time.
Yes po. Yes po. We will do po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We now go to the Department of National Defense. From the Philippine Air Force.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Your Honor. I am Colonel Francis Karim Ineri, the Deputy Wing Commander of the 580th Aircraft Control and Warning Wing. So representing Attorney Castillo, on behalf of the AFP, through the Philippine Air Force, the military in charge, the military branch in charge of the securing our country's airspace. So the said bills can further improve the functions and services of CAAP, and so the Philippine Air Force will maintain its support, relationship, and cooperation with the civilian aviation sector as it progresses based on this said bill, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. So we support the bill, sir.
Thank you. We now go to the Department of Tourism. Any representative around?
Good morning, Mr. Che. I'm Warner Andrada, currently the Director of Tourism.
You have the floor.
Proposed
DOT,
House
you
Bill,
have the floor.
and we believe intent and objective of the proposed House Bill are beneficial to the tourism industry that will promote convenience, connectivity, and quality of our for the traveling stakeholders of the country, especially for the tourists, that will help us promote for a greater growth of the industry. And we believe that this House Bill will improve the services of our airports and gateways in the country for us to improve the connectivity.
Right standard. Can you submit your position paper to this committee? No, wala. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can you submit your position paper to this committee?
We will do, Mr. Chair.
May
We'll submit to the committee whatever.
as soon as possible?
Yes, sir. We will do it again as much as possible at the earliest time, sir.
Thank you. We now go to the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, or GCG. Do we have a representative here on Zoom? GCG? Joy? GCG? Oh, physically present. You have the floor, and please identify yourself.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Director Johan Carlos Barcena of the Corporate Governance Office B of the GCG. We handle the transportation sector GOCCs of our country. So we generally support, Mr. Chair, the proposal to separate the regulatory and commercial functions of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines and to strengthen its role as the designated Civil Aviation Authority of the country. And we'll be submitting, Mr. Chair, our comments on certain provisions that may need refinement in pursuit of these objectives, Mr. Chair. We'll submit within 2 weeks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now go to the we now go to the Civil Service Commission.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Please identify yourself, your position, and your office.
I'm Attorney Hazel Galamay Garduque from the Office of the Assistant Commissioner for Legal, Civil Service Commission. On behalf of Attorney Ariel Ronquillo, Mr. Chair, allow me to read the CSC's position on the proposed bills. The CSC fully supports the purposes for which the bills are being passed. But after carefully reviewing the subject bills, we note the following observations. On House Bill 1552, Section 1, it is suggested to indicate the corresponding salary grades for Center Director and Assistant Director position and state who will be the appointing authority for the said positions. Chapter 10 of Book 4 of Executive Order 292, or the Admin Code of the Philippines, provides appointment to other senior positions and their equivalents, directors and assistant directors of bureaus, regional and assistant regional directors, department service chiefs, and their equivalents shall be appointed by the President in accordance with law, rules, and regulations. The reason for this is to ensure that the proposed House bill is clear in itself to avoid varying interpretations as to who is the appropriate appointing authority for the said position. Likewise, it is suggested to enumerate the powers, functions, duties, and responsibilities of the Center Director and Assistant Director to ensure that their functions do not overlap with one another, and that of the other CAAP's officials. Delineation of functions must be clearly identified. On House Bill 4928, the previous comments are reiterated, and on Section 2, similar to House Bill 1552, we suggest the inclusion of the Civil Service Commission as one of the agencies who will craft its implementing rules and regulations. On House Bill 6774, Section 2, the following comments are specified. First, the phrase subject to existing civil service rules and regulations must be inserted after the word act and be read as follows. The board shall agree on the authority's final organizational structure not later than 6 months from the date of effectivity of this act, subject to the existing civil service laws, rules, and regulation. Second, there must be a board secretary to the CAAP's board whose duties and functions must be specified therein to assist the board in the discharge of its functions. The abolition of aerodrome development and management services must consider Section 2 of RA 6656, or the Act to protect the security of tenure of civil service officers and employees in the implementation of government reorganization. The provision, Section 2 of RA 6656, guarantees the right to security of tenure of employees in the civil service. It is suggested that the proposed section must mention whether the employees of the ADMS will be absorbed by the Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation in line with RA 6656. The provision only states that ADMS functions, powers, and duties related to the aerodrome development shall be temporarily transferred to the PADC. Concerns might be raised as to affected employees since the term temporary might appear to be in conflict with the concept of security of tenure of employees in the civil service. The provision must also state that the board shall recommend and propose the staffing pattern for the creation of air traffic service, air navigation service, and administrative finance service in accordance with existing civil service laws, rules, and regulations. On House Bill 7438, Section 2, the reappointment of the Director General for a fresh period of another 7 years after his term might forestall the policy enshrined in the Constitution on the equal access of opportunities to public service. It is submitted that the proposed additional 3 years from the original 4 years to the term of the office of DG is sufficient to insulate the CAAP from constantly changing political climate in the executive department. On Section 3, similarly, there must be a board secretary to CAAP's board whose duties and functions must be specified. On Section 5, the grant to the exemption in the appointment of all personnel in CAAP to the operations of laws, rules, and regulations governing positions, classifications, qualification standards might run contrary to Section 33 and 35 of the 2017 Omnibus Rules on Appointment and Other Human Resource Actions. Section 33 and 35 of Ora states all agency position must be included in the approved qualification standards manual of the agency concerned, or if unique to the agency, should have a qualification standard and approved and confirmed by the Civil Service Commission. And in the said provision, the proposed section must consider that there are positions that can be categorized as not highly technical, but are still personnel. Examples, administrative and finance services under the CAAP, providing exemption to the appointment of all personnel of the CAAP to the operation and application of laws, rules, and regulations governing positions classification standards regardless of their nature might be in conflict with the 2017 ora-ora. On section 10, it's suggested to insert the phrase subject to existing civil service laws, rules, and regulations after the word office. Then on section 11, under section 24, it is suggested the same to include the provisions of RA 6656 and existing civil service laws. On House Bill 5002, establishment of CAAP Developmental Fund, as we found no provisions related to civil service laws, rules, and regulations, we support the purposes of 5002. Other than the above the mentioned comments, we found nothing objectionable in relation to civil service. We hope that the above mentioned comments will be considered in the revision of said bills. Thank you very much.
We will consider that, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
First, you have to submit your position paper to this committee.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair, we commit to submit the position paper once the same has been signed by the chairperson at the soonest possible time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much po.
We now go to the Commission on Audit.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Attorney J.T. Ponce Ramos from the Industrial and Area Development Corporate Government Audit Sector of the Commission on Audit. As for the Commission on Audit, sir, we will submit our official position paper with regards to the proposed House bill, sir, the earliest time possible.
Thank you. Nagbago na ngayon. Bago na at earliest time possible. Kung tatanungin ko po kayo, ano po yung earliest time possible nyo? Depende rin sa pagpirma ng sekretary. Di ba? Di ba, madam?
Yes, sir. Or we...
Yes. Paki-follow up nyo na lang yung secretary ninyo na kailangan nyo mag-submit ng inyong possession paper dito sa amin. Otherwise, the discussion on this bill by a TWG or a group that will harmonize the provisions will not push through. Ano po?
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear you, madam.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now we go to the Philippine Airports Development Corporation.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect, PADC is Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's written here as airport. So it's airspace.
Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation.
Okay. Thank you. You have the floor.
With the kind permission of the Honorable Chair, good morning, Honorable Chairman, and the Honorable members of the committee. We would like to express our sincerest gratitude for inviting us today. PADC interposes no objection to the proposed legislative measures and express our strong support for its immediate enactment in order to strengthen the ability of the CAAP to ensure the safety of the Philippine civil aviation system. Insofar as House Bill number 6774, we accept the proposed legislative provision that the commercial function of the CAAP will be transferred to us, considering the fact that the purpose of the creation of PADC is to undertake all manner of activity, business or development projects to establish a reliable aviation and aerospace industry. But subject to the determination that there will be no legal complications in the future, because PADC is no longer the attached agency of the Department of Transportations. Effective March 15, 2019, Your Honor, we are already transferred to the administrative supervision of Department of National Defense by virtue of Executive Order number 78. We will submit the official position paper, Your Honor, by next week.
Thank you. At least may specific time po kayo. Uh-huh. May I now recognize the presence of the Honorable Joseph Stephen Caraps Paduano, Chairman of the Committee on Public Accounts, representing Party List Abang Lingkod, and the presence of the Honorable Arlene D. Brosas, the physical presence of the Honorable Arlene Brosas, representing Party List Gabriela Women's Party. Welcome po. Now we go now to the Manila International Airport Authority, or MIAA. Do we have a representative?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Yeah, please identify yourself and your position sa MIAA.
Okay, I'm Rafael Regular, the officer in charge of the Assistant General Manager for Operations, MIAA. Your Honor, and the other members of the committee, we fully support the position of the OTR on House Bill number 1552. This is to further improve the services to the aviation sector and, of course, for the benefit of the riding public. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. We have now the Mactan Cebu International Airport Authority via
Good
Zoom.
morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good
Yes,
morning,
sir. Please identify yourself and your position there.
Yes, sir. This is GM Julius Neri Jr. of the MCIAA. May I just say that in general, we fully support all of the House bills in discussion, as we believe that it is necessary for us to improve the aviation industry. We support the stand of the CAAP as well as the OTR. Having said that, we have a couple of comments on House Bill 6774. First, Section 2, it states that the selection and appointment of the heads of the foregoing offices shall be limited from the rank and file employees of the concerned services. While we believe that the rank and file employees are very good and do have the technical qualifications, we believe that for the government to be able to get the best and the brightest in the country, we should open it up to everyone who is qualified and who fulfills the criteria set by the Civil Service Commission, and not only the rank and file employees. Secondly, Section 4 of the said bill also says the Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation shall be responsible for the planning, development, construction, operation, or maintenance or expansion of airports. We believe this is very good. Having said that, I believe we should exempt from this the existing airports who have their own authorities, such as the MCIAA, the MIAA, Davao, and Clark. In the case of the MCIAA, it was created by law under RA 6958, and its role is already defined, which is similar to the Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation, except that it is limited to the province of Cebu. So those are our only comments so far, Your Honor. We have submitted this partial position paper to your office. We will further study the other bills, and we will submit a more complete position paper within the month of May. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We have now the Clark International Airport Corporation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Committee on Transportation. Sir, in behalf of CAAP, CAAP fully supports the proposed bills regarding the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and we will submit the official position paper by next week, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We now go to the Air Carrier Association of the Philippines. Do we have a representative?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I am Attorney J. Armantaring, representing the Air Carriers Association of the Philippines, also known as Acop. Mr. Chair, good morning, and the honorable members of the committee. Acop expresses its support for the pending bills, and we believe that these amendments will strengthen and better focus the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines on its regulatory responsibilities. Mr. Chair, we believe that the proposed bills will provide CAAP with the necessary tools and resources to fulfill its mandate and deliver more effective oversight and regulation of the aviation industry. This will ultimately lead to a safer and more robust aviation system that benefits passengers, airlines, and the country as a whole. Acop commends the continued efforts of the Committee on Transportation to enhance our aviation system and ensure the safety, security, and efficiency of this critical sector. We look forward to working with you, Mr. Chair, and the members of the committee to advance these bills and other related bills now pending in Congress. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving us the opportunity to participate in today's hearing. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. We now go to Safe Travel Alliance. Do we have any representative from Safe Travel Alliance?
Good morning, Your Honors. I'm
Yes,
Captain
please.
Solis, Aviation Advisor of STA. Yes, concerning the four bills presented, yes, we fully support this because these are really what has been or should have been in place many decades ago. The establishment of FSIS in centers, in another center in Visayas or Mindanao, will definitely help secure safety and efficiency of these services that CAAP is rendering. As you can see, most of these general aviation groups have moved already down to the Visayas and Mindanao in order to avoid the congestions of airports here in the Philippines. And the greater number of airports throughout the country are still located in Mindanao and in the Visayas. And for CAAP to have close surveillance of the operations of the airport, they must be geographically near where the activities are most. So the creation of the centers of FSIS will definitely help in the development of better surveillance and safety operations of our civil aviation in that part of the world, the part of the country. Now on 6774 and 7438, this has been needed ever since 94-96 was created by Congress in 2012. Because what Congress has done at that time in the creation 94-97 is to carry on the defects and the flaws of Republic Act 776, which created conflict of interest in many of the activities the CAAP held in governing and regulating civil aviation in the Philippines. As of now, CAAP is the regulator of the civil aviation. It is the operator of the airports, and in any accidents or in incidents or violations of other regulation, it is also the investigator or built into one. So as you can clearly see, the conflict of interest of CAAP as to their duties and other matters that concerns them is really float and in question, in big question. And we in the civil aviation industry has been requesting for such amendments and reforms in Republic Act 94-97 since the 17th Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. We now go to the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Are you with us now?
Good morning, Sir Chair.
Yeah, please identify yourself and your position at the department.
Good morning again, Sir Chair. I'm Attorney Leo Mengito from the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Your Honor, we likewise support the legislative measures, and we will also submit our official position paper by next week, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now, we have, yeah, I know. We have finished already the comments of our stakeholders. The members of this committee can now ask their questions insofar as this issue is concerned. The Honorable Abante, are you with us? Are you still with us? Any? Oh. Yung International Air Transport Association, are you with us now? Yeah, please. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize if I may not have heard my name on the roll or my organization. It's International Air Transport Association.
It's us. Don't worry.
Okay. No worries then. Thank you. And thank you for giving me the floor. I just have a few comments to read. We write to convey our support for legislation that will improve the CAAP's ability to provide facilities and services to a growing aviation industry in the Philippines. We respectfully submit these following comments on the various House bills, specifically House Bill 7438, 6774, and 5002 that are being deliberated by your Committee on Transportation. We support the committee's efforts to exempt the CAAP from RA 7656 or the dividend law to allow the authority to invest in improving its technical and manpower capabilities to support civil aviation. Such exemption could enable the CAAP to ensure the availability of competent personnel for air traffic control and invest in human capital development and performance management based on global practices. We also support the amendment to Section 26 of RA 9497, requiring the CAAP to base their rate-fixing authority on the principle of cost recovery. Such amendment will align the law with ICAO policies on charges being designated and applied specifically to recover costs of providing facilities and services for civil aviation. We also support the trend towards greater autonomy for air navigation services and having their management use best practices to operate as efficiently as possible. Should this be the decided route, IATA encourages the committee to ensure users are involved in the transition at the outset. And finally, Your Honor, I just take note about on House Bill 7438 regarding the prosecutorial powers for unruly behavior on board aircraft. We respectfully request the committee to urgently consider the ratification of protocol to amend the Convention on Offenses and certain other acts committed aboard aircraft, otherwise known as Montreal Protocol of 2014. That is pursuant to ICAO Assembly Resolution A 41-4, Appendix C, as it will allow the Philippines to put in place a more effective international legal instrument to deal with unruly passengers who land in the Philippines on foreign registered aircraft and to deter future incidents. As of last count, I believe there are about 35 countries that have ratified Montreal Protocol already, and the Philippines has yet to ratify also. Thank you, Your Honor.
May I request that you submit your position paper to this committee?
That's due next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any member of this committee who would want to interpolate any of the resource persons? napansin ko lang dito yung issue na conflict of interest. Kung ihiwalay po natin yung House Bill number 6774 would want, we will separate the regulatory and commercial functions of CAAP. Yung commercial functions ng CAAP would go to PADC. Tama? PADC. Di ba yun ang stand ninyo na mapupunta sa inyo yung commercial functions of CAAP?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. At ang conflict of interest, ni-raise ng Safe Travel Alliance.
Your Honor, may I say something regarding that? We have proposed two other bills. One is the PTSB, or the Philippine Transport Safety Board, which will be the scientific and forensic investigation arm of government reporting to the office of the President.
That's the bill.
Yes.
Vetoed by the President.
Correct.
Kasama din po ako sa nagkuhan yan eh.
I think that was based on some wrong information. We have checked that already. And the next is the creation of the Philippine Airport Authority, which removes from CAAP the operating and commercial status of the airport management, because this one is one of the areas of conflicts wherein you regulate the same agency that you operate into, okay, or operate with. And there, especially on the commercial side of it, that there is really a large tendency to have conflicting interests because you're regulating yourself, and the airport operation is a very varied and variable type of commercial operations, which has both the regulatory side of an airport, which is what is called the air side, and then the commercial side of it, which composes the terminal itself and commercial outlets located within the airport premises. And these other entities could create certain conflicts because they can also violate certain regulations that are existing in the operations of the airport. And there is no dividing line between physical dividing line between the air service site and the land site operations of an airport. And this is where violations have come. And I would personally say that these functions cannot be transferred to PADC. PADC is not the organization that is qualified and that has the ability to supervise such functions. You will be creating more conflicts and more inefficiencies in the airport operations when you transfer it to another agency who has practically zero experience in doing these aviation matters. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the two bills that you have mentioned are with the Committee on Governmental Organization and the Committee on Government Enterprises.
Yes, I think that's being reviewed because of other issues that comes with naturally with these bills. But it is in the 2018 the 18th Congress. Both these bills already have reached almost second or third reading. The PTSB has been, in fact, like you said, reached the office of the President, but was vetoed. But it is refiled now both in the lower house and in the Senate by Senator Po. PAA is pending in either one of the committees, and plus, I think, your own committee. That has already had some hearings on it.
Mr. Chair,
Thank
if I
you.
may.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, may I beg to disagree with the manifestation of resource person insofar as the qualification as PADC is concerned. while it is true that insofar as the experience is concerned right now, we do not have, but so far as qualification, we have some ongoing negotiation to partner with the foreign aviation company who has the expertise and capabilities to run the airport system. It's a Washington-based company, Your Honor. But of course, my only reservation is there might be a legal complication because PADC is no longer under the administrative supervision of the DOTR. It's now under the DND. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think that issue will be decided by the Committee on Government Enterprises, or I think the bill on the creation of the Philippine Airport Authority is lodged. So, huwag natin pagdebatehan dito yan. Hayaan natin na yung appropriate committee ang mag-decide kung yung PADC will be the one or the newly created agency. We will leave it to the wisdom of the members of that committee. And so far as this committee is concerned, ang issue ko po lang ay yung if we remove the commercial functions of CAAP, how then do we propose to fund the maintenance and development of our airports, given that majority of our airports are losing? Anybody can answer that?
Your Honor, may I say something towards that? In the proposed creation of the PTSB and the PAA law, there is a transition and interim period for example, like the ADMS unit of CAAP be transferred to PAA when the PAA law is created and established already. There should be an interim transfer of these functions from CAAP to a new unit, which is, for example, a PAAP, to take care of the operations of the airport. We in the industry, in the aviation industry, do not believe that it could be, this function should be transferred to another government agency that has nothing to do with transportation. You will just be creating new alternatives that will not benefit the government or the commercial aviation, civil aviation as a whole. It must be integrated. What we're seeking is a more efficient functioning government agencies that regulates the aviation industry from the perspective of operation, and secondly, an organization that can do forensic science investigations to maintain the safety standard to civil aviation as required by our international treaties and our own regulations. So all of this have to be separated and very clear so that people will not, so that interloping interests will not exist as far as the interrelated operations standards between government agencies.
So you're telling us now that the maintenance and development of our airports, supervised and controlled by CAAP, will now be funded through the GAA because of the creation of that separate government agency?
Yes, sir, if that is possible, but I know we are always governed when it comes to these cases by government regulations of multiple agencies. So that we will leave to the wisdom of Congress itself on how all of those things have to be delineated in order to be able to prevent all of these areas of conflicts of interest.
I think CAAP will be very happy that the funding for the maintenance and development of our airports will be provided for in the GAA, and that CAAP will solely take charge of the funds generated from revenues taken from overflights and its CNS ATM system. So masosolo nyo na yung pondo na yun. Tama? So gustong-gusto nila.
Your Honor, there are past examples of the problems of coordination between airports and CAAP. There was one incident, I just forgot the year, wherein the NIA BOR landing facilities were grounded for about a week, and NAIA was closed throughout a week because the approach and radar facilities were not. And then the CAAP did not have the funds to repair the approach facilities installed in NAIA, which needed about 300 million pesos immediately to refund that. NAIA itself recommended that they advance the 300 million out of their own funds. COA refused it because they said the navigational facilities installed in NAIA is not the property of NAIA, so it cannot fund itself. So the closure of partial closure of NAIA extended for another almost a month until they took the Subic approach radar and installed it here in order to temporarily solve that. So as you can see, this is on the intergovernment, but there are problems with coordinating funds transfer between government agencies, even if they are talking about the same area and the same area of operations. Thank you.
Thank you. So, any interpolations? Or before I proceed, may we please recognize the presence of the Honorable Gus Tambunting, one of our vice chairperson in the committee, the chairman of the Committee on Legislative Franchises, and representing the 2nd District of the City of Parañaque, National Capital Region. Magandang umaga po.
Magandang umaga, Chair. Pasensya nyo, nasira ho yung kotse ko eh. Kaya na-late po ako.
And he is one of the authors of the bill, House Bill number 6774. Thank you, Your Honor. So,
Mr. Chair, maybe recognize for some comment regarding the bills.
The Honorable Plato is recognized.
House Bill, Mr. Chair, 5002, the establishment of CAAP Development Fund by my good friend, Kong Michael Romero. May observation lang po ako comment. Bakit sa department ang transportation ang mag-manage ng proposed fund? Why not CAAP? Para ma-avoid natin yung similar concern with LTOs, plates and driver's license problem, saka yung mga delays, Mr. Chair. And another, at saka po yung House Bill 7098, regulating the ownership at operation of drones by Attorney Mike Tan. Maybe I will just ask Mr. Chair, given the need to harmonize the provisions and come up with a consulted bill in substitution of the proposals, I move that we create a
Sandali lang, Your Honor. May mga magtatanong pa yata eh.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Any member of this committee who would want to interpolate?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Abante is recognized.
I would like to reiterate the clarification from CAAP on the query that I made a moment ago.
Kindly repeat your query for the...
The query was, the CAAP said that they support the intention of the bill, but they have some reservations to it. So, because it does not in any way fit with the mandate of the CAAP. So, I'd like just some clarification to it, Mr. Chair.
DG Tamayo?
If I may, Mr. Chair, I'd like to be clarified on the specifics of the question.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, a while ago you were telling us that you are supportive of the intention of the bill, no? But you made a statement that there would be there would be some reservations on your part because it might not go well with the mandate of CAAP. So let me be clarified more on that.
Through the chair, I think this refers to the transfer of the ADMS and the operations of the airport to PADC, if I'm not mistaken.
Whatever it is, Mr. Chair, I was just referring to your statement when we were talking about the House bill.
Mandate of PADC not CAAP, sir.
As what was mentioned by other members who were questioning it or who gave inputs, the function of PADC is different from the functions of CAAP to regulate or not regulate, to operate airports. PADC's mandated functions are the following: design, assembly, manufacture, and sale of aircraft and aviation parts and equipment, and then provision of maintenance, repair, overhaul, and modification services to government agencies for aircraft and aviation parts and equipment, and operation and provision of air transport services. And aside from that, it came from PADC themselves that they are no longer under the DOTR, but under the Department of Defense, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Chair, that is the Philippine airspace, no? Is it the Philippine airspace, the PABC that you're talking about?
Philippine Aerospace Development Corporation.
That is now already under the Department of National Defense.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So then, what would be the different mandate between CAAP and PABC for that matter?
What we were recommending is the creation of another agency, the Philippine Airport Authority. It's a new office in itself, which will absorb all the functions and perhaps the employees necessary to operate the airports more efficiently, as what was mentioned by the Honorable Chair, that operations should be separated from our regulatory functions. And this is also one of the issues, as far as we're concerned, by the IKO, that we should not be operators and regulators at the same time.
Mr. Chair, are you referring to the bill at hand? Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. If we will create, is that a commission or authority?
It is an authority, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I just would like to find out, would there be any overlapping of functions between the CAAP and the PABC and the authority if ever we create that new agency?
Through the chair, this is actually in practice already. We have the Manila International Airport Authority, the Mactan Cebu International Authority, and Clark International Authority. Davao International Authority is in existence. So what we're trying to do is to recommend, rather, is to create a Philippine Airport Authority to manage the other airports under CAAP. Mr. Chair.
It means, Mr. Chair, that at this point in time, every airport authority is independent of each other. And what you're trying to say is put up a certain authority that would put all of the airport authorities together. Is that what you're saying?
Mr. Chair, at this point, I think we recommend that we leave this to the discussions of the committee on how to move forward.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor,
Yes.
with your indulgence, there's a bill filed in another committee for the creation of the Philippine Airports Authority. I think it's with the Government Reorganization Committee or Government Enterprises.
So therefore, Mr. Chair, the recommendation should be given to that committee more than rather than our committee for that matter.
Secondary po yung Committee on Transportation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other member who would wish to interpolate any of our resource persons?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Chairman of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs na nagpapahirap po sa amin sa kanyang committee hearing. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I may have probably missed in the proposed House bills a provision that would speak of development of airports. This is quite parochial, Mr. Chair, because in my district, where Surigao City belongs, perhaps based on recommendations and studies by NEDA and other agencies that did an assessment of the economy, the local economy of the province of Surigao del Norte, there seems to be a necessity to transfer our airport because our airport at present is situated right at the middle of the city. So yung area within the vicinity of the airport, which is a prime area, could not locate buildings or any other industries to be set up in the vicinity because of the presence of the airport. So, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chair, I guess CAAP would update us on this. There was a study in the late 2006 or 2007 recommending a transfer. However, there was a need, based on their recommendation, there was a need for a thorough and more extensive technical study, which would require costs to the national government. That's why this representation was requesting the Secretary of DOTR through CAAP head to look into this and perhaps allocate a certain amount in order to proceed with the technical study of the transfer of our airport. So I may have probably missed this in the proposed House bill, Mr. Chair, as to the development of new airports. Siguro baka makatulong din sa akin and sa the rest of our members who are interested also in looking into this kinds of projects for their own respective district, Mr. Chair.
DG Tamayo.
To the chair. Yes, Your Honor, there was a study to transfer the Surigao Airport to another location. Primarily, this was considered because the location of the current airport, after it was assessed, the runways itself and the terminal, the area itself is subject to liquefaction. And in fact, it was hit by an earthquake. Kaya nga ho, medyo extensive yung naging damage, not only to the runway, but to the terminal itself. So as far as the study on Greenfield Airport, kung saan ho ililipat, we work with the DOTR and NEDA itself, aside from CAAP, in creating a study or making a final recommendation or approving finally where this airport will be located. Kami naman ho sa CAAP, it's more of the technical. Tama ho ba yung location? Tama yung wind direction? Are there any obstructions? That is basically the function, the technical function of the CAAP. And then we coordinate with the DOTR as far as the development, sir.
Yes, I believe the statement of DG Tamayo is correct. There was indeed a study and assessment, and CAAP has actually recommended for more extensive technical study. And again, no, this would require, if I'm not mistaken, about 30 to 40 million pesos to be able to conduct this technical study. So I've been coordinating with the DOTR secretary. In fact, we wrote a letter to him. Unfortunately, until now, I haven't received a reply from the secretary. So, Mr. Chair, sorry if I have to raise this parochial concern, kasi I'm sure if we are to develop at par with our progressive nations in the Southeast Asia, perhaps one important project that we should look into is the development of all these airports. In our case, it stunts the growth of our city primarily because the airport does that. There's no other location that we can move the development of the city because the airport is right at the middle of the city. So I hope, Mr. Chair, through while we are discussing this, maybe we could consider as well projects. I don't know who's going to kasi nagtuturoan yan eh. CAAP did the study, submitted to the DOTR. DOTR said, okay, ganito, but no funds yet. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess through your representation in this committee, maybe in the crafting of this law, maybe we should put that clearly in the bill.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr.
May repartee ka ba, Kaab?
We take note of that, Mr. Chair, and we will coordinate closely with the DOTR, especially for the funding of the study of the airport. And yes, as far as CAAP is concerned, we are aware of the need to transfer the location of the Surigao Airport. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Your Honor, you have any other question or issue?
That's all, Mr. Chair. I will just raise my hand if I have another question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other member who would want to interpolate?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the Honorable Plato is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, given the need to harmonize the provisions and come up with the consolidated bill in the substitution of the proposals, I move that we create a technical working group, TWG, for the purpose, the head of which shall be designated by the chairman. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Any second? There's a motion for the creation of a technical working group to harmonize the provisions of the bills and come up with a consolidated bill. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved, and the chair would ask the vice chairman for aviation, the Honorable Gus Tambunting, to head the technical working group, and is given the authority to choose from the members of this committee who will be part of the technical working group.
Second motion,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now we go to the next agenda. For in behalf of the Honorable Ronald Singson, we'll take up first the CAAP drone regulations. May I request the Honorable Singson to come up with his sponsorship speech?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd rather that I submit the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech, Mr. Chair. But just to add to it for the indulgence of the people present in this committee, basically this bill aims to update the speed limits on expressways or tollways. Dahil kung maalala ko po, yung unang-unang pagbubukas pa lang ng NLEX dati, way back in the 1970s, I think,
Ang speed limit na ho nun is 100 kilometers per hour. Naalala ko mabuti po na mga panahon na yon, mga sikat na utility vehicle dati, mga Tamaraw pa eh. Ngayon, medyo advanced na rin ho yung mga sasakyan with safety features such as ABS and everything. The safety features of the vehicles now provide that it can go faster and also safely. And also, government has been spending so much, billions and billions of pesos to improve the infrastructure ng mga expressways natin to facilitate and enhance the traveling public. So, from one point to another, medyo mas mabilis na pumunta ngayon from one point A to point B because of these highways and tollways. Unfortunately, the speed limit, the 100-kilometer speed limit, parang mabagal na ho para sa mga ibang areas ng tollway. Of course, like in the US po, depende sa area, merong mga 60 miles per hour yung speed limit. Meron naman some areas 90 kilometers per hour yung speed limit, 90 miles per hour. If you will convert that into kilometers, that would roughly be around 140 kilometers per hour. In fact, dun sa US, I remember pag pumapasok ka sa freeway nila, kailangan mong bilisan para sumabay dun sa mabilis na flow ng mga vehicles. And sana ganun rin naman po dito na certain areas, we can have the speed limit at 100 or 80. Like in the Skyway, di ba? Doon sa mga may mga curves sa Skyway, 60 kilometers per hour lang. Pero if I recall correctly, from the SLEX all the way to Quirino, 80 kilometers per hour yung nakasulat na speed limit. Unfortunately, doon sa NLEX, SETEX, and TPLEX, uniform yan, 100 kilometers per hour ang speed limit. Doon sa NLEX, understandable kasi medyo traffic naman. Kasi gusto mong bumilis, parang hindi kaya. Pero pagdating po sa SETEX and TPLEX, lumuluwag na yung traffic. Unfortunately, since 100 kilometers lang yung speed limit, medyo nahihinder yung flow ng traffic. So, sayang yung luwag ng kalsada, sayang yung gastos ng gobyerno. And, in fact, I've tried already. Kung ibiyahe mo yung buong NLEX, SETEX, TPLEX from Balintawak to Rosario, with a speed limit of 100 kilometers per hour, siguro mga 3.5 hours yun. Pero, there was one time nagka-emergency kami, binahe namin yun 140 kilometers per hour, the whole stretch, gabi. It only took us 2 hours. So, sayang naman yung facility na ginastos ng ating gobyerno kung hindi natin i-maximize yung gamit. So, anyway, the aim of the bill is to introduce an optimal safety speed in certain areas of the expressway. Of course, expressways lang to dahil I think yung mga local roads will be regulated by the individual LGUs, no? So kung pwede, this bill aims to update the speed limit law considering the area where it is applicable. So kung pwede, like ideally in a very wide stretch without any curves, sana man lang maging 140 yung kilometers per hour yung speed limit para ma-maximize naman natin yung highway na ginawa ng gobyerno para sa atin. So basically, that's it, Mr. Chair. Yun lang po. Sana magkaroon tayo ng optimal safety speed na ma-determine ng proper agency. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we hear from the Department of Transportation?
Your Honor, I would have to apologize. Our preparation was purely for the aviation sector bills, but on a general comment, we do that it would not be necessarily bad, I guess, to increase the speed limits in the expressways. However, since we have not prepared for this, I am not at this point able to give an authoritative comment with respect to this particular bill.
Mr. Chair, it's okay, if I may. Anyway, in the agenda, it is just the initial deliberation. So it is good that you have heard my position on it. And then hopefully in the next few meetings, you can come up with your position and the necessary guidelines for us to tackle the matter further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Asek, hindi po ba may invitation kayo natanggap mula sa amin?
Yes, Your Honors.
And dun sa invitation na yun, kasama po yung mga agenda, di po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So,
Bakit hindi kayo handa?
bakit hindi po kayo nakahanda?
I have to apologize for that, Your Honor. This is part of the road sector, and the bill is specific to the road sector, so we would need we would refer the bill
I know.
to
And
the
then
road sector, Your Honor.
there would have been a representative from your road sector group? Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kaya, the author of the bill is very benevolent. So, next time, we need a representative of your road sector.
Yes, Your Honor. We will make sure to ensure that representatives from the different transport sectors, which may be involved in the bills, will be fully represented during the hearings of the Honorable Committee.
Thank you. We go now to the toll.
Mr. Chair, may I just request that the representative from the DOTR be given a copy of my bill so that they can prepare properly on the merits of the bill. Thank you.
Your Honor, even a copy of the bill is provided in the invitation that we have given to the resource persons, Your Honor. Meron na po silang kopya. We now go to the Toll Regulatory Board. What is your position insofar as the bill is concerned?
Good morning po, Mr. Chair. My name is Josh Ardiliano po, the Deputy OIC of the Regulation Division po ng TRB. Sir, the TRB hereby express our full support po sa initiative po ni Honorable Singson as expressed po doon sa kanya pong proposed bill. Given po yung premise mentioned in the explanatory note po. However po, sir, the range of speed limits being proposed are beyond the standards po of the DPWH, considering the fact that the design speed of our expressways, they were built based on the specifications written on the 1984 Design Guidelines and Criteria of the Bureau of Design of DPWH. In addition, sir, under the section 8.2.1 of the AASHTO publication, there is a statement there that the design speed should not be so high as to exceed the limits of prudent construction, right-of-way, and socioeconomic costs. But sir, be that as it may, if ever the committee intends to pursue for a higher speed limit, under the premise of safety, our officer would like to suggest that a technical study and a consultation with the DPWH Bureau of Design shall be conducted prior to the adoption of the 140 kph for cars and 120 kph for trucks and buses. Nonetheless, we recognize the provision of Section 36A, whereby the OTR, by the recommendation of the TRB, can still establish safe speed limits on various segments of toll roads, which in effect, this gives us a leverage and flexibility to efficiently and safely regulate the said implementation. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I just comment? Thank you for the input, and I just like to stress on the fact that you mentioned the provisions you mentioned was 1986, 1980s, right? So that is the reason why this bill is called updated tollway speed limits, because we have to update. Apparently, noong 1980s, iba yung standards ng mga kalsadang ginagawa noon compared sa mga nagawa na after that, which is yung mga highways na ginagawa na natin ngayon, mas malalaki, mas maluluwag. That's why the essence of the bill is to update wherever applicable. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Iho, nagtra-travel din ako papuntang La Union eh. And then nagtra-travel din ako papuntang province of Benguet dahil mother ko La Union, father ko sa Benguet. Eh, yung 100 kilometers limit, may mga talagang sumusunod doon and they're on the left. Kung gusto mong overtakean, doon ka sa right mag-overtake. Ganun na nangyari. Di po ba? You should be cognizant of this. Kasi kami nagtra-travel yan, nakikita namin. If we obey the law, 100 kilometers per hour, may dumadaan sa amin na 140, 150. Pero kaya pa naman ng road eh. Yun yung ibig sabihin ni Honorable Singson.
Mr. Chair, yes sir, tama po yun sir doon. Ang amin lang pong request po sana, kasi po yung usually po once yung mga contractors po namin and the engineers po, when they do the yung toll roads po, yung nagiging reference po nila is yung DPWH. So if for have to us to have a consistency lang din po, maybe the DPWH can help us also to update din yung construction standards po namin to fit in po doon sa requested niyo po na speed limit po. Yun lang po sir, maraming salamat po.
Anyway, we will also ask the DPWH their position on this.
Thank you po.
Thank you. We now go to the Land Transportation Office.
Good morning, Mr. Honorable Chair, and all the honorable representatives. I am Attorney Zo Daphne Usita Angustia, and I am the representative for the Land Transportation Office. First, we would like to manifest our full support to the amendments being introduced by Representative Singson regarding the amendments on specific provisions of RA 4136, especially that RA 4136 was enacted in 1964. So there are many changes nowadays po. So first, with regard to the additional word and phrase, expressway, it was not stated in the previous law, but due to the new proposal of Representative Singson, we could include this new definition po. And then as to the speed limits po, although LTO is in coordination with DPWH and TRB, we also support the new maximum speed limits, especially that there are bigger displacements of vehicles. So if it will be set to 140 or 120 kilometers per hour, our concern in the agency is that we enact stricter rules as to road safety lang po. And then for the last section, which is section 4, wherein the new or the proposed amendments already authorize local government units to participate in increasing or decreasing the speed. We also support this because in the previous law or in the existing law, which is RA 4136, it is only LTO po. So as a whole, we fully support po the bill of Representative Singson po. That would be your honor po. Thank you po.
Thank you. We now go to the LTFRB. You're present.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Attorney Frederick Valero po, Officer in charge of the Legal Division. On behalf of Chairman Guadis, the LTFRB fully support the intent and rationale of the House Bill. And Mr. Chair, may we request for 10 days to file our position paper?
Okay, granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We now go to the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Jonathan Araulio po from the Department of Public Works and Highways.
And what is your position?
Assistant Director po of the Bureau of Quality and Safety.
Okay, please proceed.
On behalf of the DPWH, Mr. Chair, we would like to express our full support and for the passage of this bill. We recognize the intent of the bill, considering that speed limits on expressway, sir, is not really prescribed under the present provision of Section 35 of 4136. However, Mr. Chair, we would like to defer our confirmation as to the proposed speed limit of 140 for cars and 120 for trucks and buses. We would like to consolidate first the positions of all the relevant offices of the department so that we can verify as to standards, both local and international, sir. Our only apprehension is that while we recognize mobility as the primary intent of increasing the speed, we need to recognize also the safety component of the road, Mr. Chair, considering that this is something that is closely being monitored in our Philippine Road Safety Action Plan, the safety and mobility of our roads, Mr. Chair. And also we would like to take note of the provision on amendment to Section 36. May we suggest also that we consider the previous joint memorandum circular in 2018 that was signed by 3 government agencies, the DOTR, the ILG, and the DPWH, that sought to institutionalize the framework for enforcing speed limits in the Philippines, Mr. Chair. That's all.
Thank you. Napansin ko lang po sa pagta-travel ko, there are places na kung mabilis ka, aangat ka. Hindi po ba? So, ayusin muna natin lahat yon. Hindi po ba? Para dire-diretso. Kasi kung if we allow yung 140 kilometers per hour, pagdating mo doon sa portion, doon sa, especially sa T-Plex, may mga kwan na pag dumaan ka, luluntag yung sakyan mo kung mabilis. Yun yung observation ko eh. So, siguro ayusin yun bago natin approvean itong speed limits na mga ito. Thank you. The Department of the Interior and Local Government, are you with us?
Good morning again, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you have the floor. Please identify yourself and your position in the department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Attorney Leo Angelo Mengito from the Legal Services of the DILG. Your Honor, we likewise express our full support on the subject measure. Again, we will submit our position, our official position paper by next week, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I proceed, let me recognize the Honorable Joseph Gilbert Villago, representing the 2nd District of the province of Nueva Ecija. We now go to Metro Pacific Toll Corporation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
On Zoom?
Yes. I am on Zoom, Mr. Chairman. My name is...
Please identify yourself and your position in the corporation.
Thank you very much. My name is Romeo Kimbo Jr. I'm the spokesperson of Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation. We are attending on the invitation of the committee, and we're happy to provide inputs to the bill being proposed by Congressman Singson. We will be happy to sit down with the experts in the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Department of Transportation, especially in doing the engineering review, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I inquire? Ano po yung parte nyo dun sa from NLEX to TPLEX?
Mr. Chairman, ang Metro Pacific Tollways po natatapos po sa Tarlac from Manila. Sa Tarlac po natatapos ang concession po under the Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressway po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ano po kayo? Yung nagkukuha ng RFID or EC Trip or ETC?
Yung Metro Pacific po, Mr. Chairman, EC Trip po ang RFID na ginagamit hanggang Tarlac po from Manila.
If I may, meron po akong natatanggap na mga text message. I do not know if the others have received this text message na yung EC Trip papailan ng kaso yung hindi enough yung enough load yung nasa card nila. 2 beses na po ako nakakatanggap nun eh. Is this from EC Trip?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yung pong announcement na po yan from EC Trip ay nagkamali po. Hindi po yan correct. And we are sending communication, the respective business units, yung NLEX po, NLEX Corporation, at yung mga tollway companies dito po sa South of Metro Manila, na hindi po yan ang sinusunod nating patakaran. Ang EC Trip po ay wala pong kakayahan o kapangyarihan para magsagawa po ng announcement na yan, Mr. Chairman.
So, you're denying that these text messages originated from EC Trip handled by MPTC?
Hindi po, Mr. Chairman, nailabas po yan ng EC Trip Corporation, pero naglabas na po ng correction at yun po ay kino-correct po na hindi po yan tama na announcement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We now go to...
Yes, Mr. Chair. So hindi totoo yun na may ganon na mag-file ng case?
Inamin nila na galing sa kanila eh. Pero parang binabawi.
Okay.
Kasi 2 beses din ako nakalanggap nun eh. Nung text message na yun. Now we go to San Miguel Corporation. Are you with us?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please identify yourself and your position in the corporation.
I'm Attorney Melissa Encanto Tagarda. I'm the AVP of SMC Infra and the head of the Corporate Affairs Office, Mr. Chair.
Now, please proceed.
Yes, we support the bill. However, we would have to study the technical and safety conditions because there are certain areas of our expressway, like the Skyway, wherein the lanes are narrower and the speed limit of 140 might be too fast for that area. We would also have to study how the traffic flow would be because a faster speed limit would mean that the cars would have to be farther from each other in case of an abrupt stop. But we support the bill and we will study this. We would also like to recommend that in case the bill is passed, that we apply this to all future expressways so that we can already consider the specifications when proposing expressways to either the Toll Regulatory Board or the DPWH. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just like to comment. Based on the opinions of the various agencies, I'd just like to reiterate key phrases in the bill. The proposed speed limits are just suggestions, and of course, the key phrase there is wherever applicable, and also the optimal safety speed on certain areas. So this means that the bill does not want 140 kilometers per hour in the totality of all the expressways, but only in certain areas where possible or where applicable. So please take note the optimal safety speed term. Bear in mind that we just want, as the DPWH has said a while ago, to expedite the mobility of the riding public, but of course not disregarding safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And now, we now would like to recognize the representative. Ito, palagi kong nakikita ito eh. Motorcycle Philippines Federation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm Arturo Santa Cruz, the Director for Motorcycle Administration. Yun lang po, no, we fully support that bill. Lalo na kami mga motorcycle rider. Gusto nga namin 200. No? Pero when it comes to safety, gusto namin pag-aralan muna itong NLEX, SLEX. Kasi experience namin dito sa road na to, yung sinabi ni Chairman Acop, minsan dyan lulubulundag kami pag mabilis. Other than that, dun sa NLEX itself, no? Madalas kang pumunta ng Lawag, meron mo dyan, may mga bakal pa na dumudulas. Marami nang na-aksidente sa member namin. Siguro, we support this bill, pero pag-aralan mo maigi, or we heard itong sa Public Works, kung kaya ba talaga yung 145. Kabuka lang sa mga barrier niyan. Safe ba kami pagka yung sudden speed namin, tapos yung component. Kasi sa racetrack ho, no, sa motorcycle, meron din mga certain component ng asphalt na ginagamit yung texture niya. Kung magtatakbo ba kami ng 145 dyan talagang safe kami. Yun ang mga question na lumalabas sa amin. Pero 145, 200 nga gusto namin Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Talo nga ako ng mga nagra-ride ng motorsiklo doon sa highway. Diba? Anyway, I think we've heard all the position of the stakeholders. And considering that there's a need to harmonize the provisions and issues raised by some of our stakeholders, I think there's a need for us to come up with a technical working group. And may I request the Department of Public Works and Highways that when you attend the technical working group to be created, meron na po kayong study na i-present. Hindi po gagawa kayo ng study pag dinirect ng TWH kasi that would be a waste of time. Kung po pwede lang po, gumawa na po kayo ng study so that when the chairman of the TWG to be designated will call for a meeting regarding this issue, nakahanda na po kayo.
Noted on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, the Honorable Plato is recognized.
I fully agree with your observation, and therefore I move that we create a technical working group to fine-tune the provisions of the measure. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Any second?
A second.
Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is hereby approved. The chairman of the technical working group be designated later because we're going to find out who would be available to head the technical working group. We now go to the agenda on the initial deliberation, House Bill number 7098, regarding regulating the ownership and operation of drones by the Honorable Keith Attorney Mike Tan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
in behalf of Honorable Mike Tan, I move to consider the exploratory note of House Bill 7098 as sponsorship, as his sponsorial speech for the measure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any second? Second ka? There's a motion, duly seconded, and hearing no objection, the motion is hereby carried. May we ask the position of the Department of Transportation, and so far as the issue is concerned?
Your Honor, for the DOTR, we support HB 7098, regulating the ownership and operation of drones. But we would also state, as would CAAP, that with respect to certain technical aspects, it may be better that the technical regulations be part of the Philippine Civil Aviation regulations rather than being expressly stated in the bill itself, because there is a need for flexibility, of course, to be able to refine or to revise technical specifications in accordance with changes in technology and with various other circumstances. That is it for the Department of Transportation, Your Honor.
Thank you. We now go to the we now go to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines.
To the chair, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the authority wishes to express its strong support for House Bill 7098. We have been working on regulations. CAAP rather has been working on the regulations of drone as early as 2014, and it is constantly revised based on the international standards given not only by ICAO but also the IASA. We have started the licensing of drone operators. Also, training is part of it. And for the details of this, can I recommend that Attorney Iris will come up with some information? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I am Irish Pression from the Office of the Deputy Director General.
Could you please put your mic near your mouth, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. I am Irish Pression from the Office of the Deputy Director General for Operations. We agree with the position of the Department of Transportation, and to give further details on the efforts of CAAP in our drone regulations, we have regulations and procedures for our personnel, for the licensing or the controller licensing, also for the registration of aircraft or the registration of these drones. We also have a procedure and regulations as well for the RPAS operators. And we have several comments, Your Honor, on the proposed bill. This is with regard to the terminologies used in the bill. We recommend that we harmonize the terms used, since the bill proposes the use of unmanned aerial system. This is a very broad concept, Your Honor, and the International Civil Aviation Organization, or the ICAO, uses unmanned aircraft system, Your Honor. This includes the whole system of the drones. It includes the pilot, as well as the controller, and as well as the connect and command link, or the link between the controller as well as the drone itself. Also, Your Honor, we would like to, apart from the harmonization of terms, Your Honor, we would like to make a clarification on the office that will issue these certificates and permits, since the proposed bill mentioned two different offices. One of it is CAAP, and we have another office. And should this the issuance of this permit redound under the jurisdiction of CAAP, we would just inform this house that CAAP has a set of regulations as well as procedures that we have under the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations, or the PICAR, and these are amended on a regular cycle. And we also introduces several amendments on this depending on the safety and the recommendations of the International Civil Aviation Organization, Your Honor. That is why we recommended that the safety provisions of the bill refer to the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulation rather than we have a specific specific requirements or specific specifics in this bill, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are your existing regulations enough as as far as you're concerned?
Your Honor, as of now, our regulations are enough. However, due to the advancement of the technology, we are in the process of amending our regulations. We will be the proposal of the Regulatory Standards Development Division of CAAP is to adopt the International Civil Aviation Organization standards, Your Honor. And we will also be adopting the best practices from FAAs as well as the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, Your Honor, as applicable in the Philippine setting.
Nasagot mo na yung part ng second question ko eh. Yeah, tama. Given the dynamic nature of technology, is it wise for us to enact a law or just a mere circular or department order so that you will have the flexibility?
Your Honor, we wish to study first the enactment of this law, Your Honor. However, it is very important in the enforcement of our regulations, Your Honor, that we have the indulgence of the other agencies of the government, considering that the jurisdiction of CAAP as well as the practice of CAAP is now focused on manned aviation, and we do not have enough personnel to enforce our regulations on ground, especially in the different localities, Your Honor.
We now recognize the Department of Information and Communications Technology.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Director Reyes from the Department of Information and Communications Technology. We fully support the bill on drones, though through our attached agency, the National Telecommunications Commission, we would suggest that they be included in terms of regulation, specifically of frequency interference. They're the one allocating regulations for such remote controls.
Sino?
National Telecommunications Commission, sir.
NTC?
Yes, sir.
CAAP, please take note of that. We now go to the Department of Trade and Industry.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Please state your name and your position in the department.
Again, good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of the Committee on Transportation. I am John Steven Magoo, Senior Trade Industry Development Specialist from the Department of Trade and Industry Bureau of Philippine Standards. Firstly, thank you for inviting us to this meeting, particularly on the initial deliberation of HB 7098, regulating the ownership and operation of drones. We support the intention of the proposed bill, which is to protect the privacy rights of citizens and to promote public safety with regard to the use of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. The DTI Bureau of Philippine Standards, as the national standards body, promulgates Philippine national standards and implements product certification schemes to ensure the manufacture, production, and distribution of quality and safe products for the protection of the consumers. To date, we have already adopted 3 international standards as Philippine national standards related to unmanned aircrafts. So we have PNS ASTM F3411 on standard specification for remote ID and tracking, PNS ISO 21384 Part 3 on unmanned aircraft systems, operational procedures specifying the requirements for safe commercial UAS operations, and PNS ISO 21895 on categorization and classification of civil unmanned aircraft systems. We will continue promulgating Philippine national standards related to unmanned aerial vehicles or drones, which may serve as references in the technical regulations to be issued by concerned government agencies such as the CAAP. In addition, if this honorable committee deems it necessary, we may certify drones for its product safety and quality through our established product certification schemes. We will submit our official position paper through the Legislative Liaison Office of the DTI as soon as possible. Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We now go to the interpellation of members of this committee. Any member of this committee who would want to interpellate? The Honorable Brosas is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, a few questions lang, Mr. Chair. So ang nagre-regulate ay CAAP, right? And they're saying na wala silang capacity. And you need capacity para doon, lalo na sa mga most modern siguro. No? But do you have a study or actually a presentation para makita namin kung ano yung mga particular na sections kung saan dapat i-capacitate ang CAAP or anything? Or actually yung bill kasi naglilimit talaga siya 'di ba? So is it better to have this bill or magkaroon tayo ng kasi CAAP, I believe kailangan nyo rin ng coordination sa ibang mga agencies for this particular
If I may, Mr. Chair, indeed, we don't have the capacity to enforce it. So what we do now is we coordinate with the LGUs to, aside from the LGUs, the ABSE group and also the PNP to assist us as far as enforcement is concerned. So basically, I think we need to strengthen this. We need to have better tools to be able to coordinate with the agencies that are assisting us as far as the drones are concerned.
But for regulation talaga kailangan isa ang siyang mag-head, mag-over sa lahat. So what is the proposal of CAAP? CAAP pa rin.
CAAP pa rin,
But just capacitate them,
Yes,
parang
yes.
ganyan,
Yes.
Yun yung ano. Okay. Anong implication nito? Kasi lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, yung territorial natin. napaka-loose natin sa ganyan, sa mga drones. Ano na yung nagagawa, no? For example, yung mga unmanned aerials, UAVs na pumapasok dito sa Pilipinas. Meron ba talaga tayong nakukuha ba natin na ma-monitor man lang, no? Ma-monitor man lang natin kung ilan yung pumapasok sa ating territories?
Mr. Chair, if I may. Ma'am, for the monitoring, we have our safety reporting that is available in the CAAP website. During our information dissemination to the public, we highly encourage our stakeholders to report this whatever occurrences, any incident or accident or any problem with their devices. However, that is for safety purpose, ma'am. We are gathering data so that we could mitigate any risk or any dangers that that this incidents or accident has taken, in order to prevent that in the near future. However, our pilots also, for their voluntary disclosure. If they have sightings of these drones, they report that to us. Again, ma'am, that is for safety purpose and not for the purpose of penalizing these stakeholders.
So pero meron kayo na monitoring, no? For security reasons, nandito ba yung DND, Mr. Chair? Wala.
Merong representative from the
Representative.
Philippine Air Force.
Ayan, sa Philippine Air Force. Kamusta naman po ang ano pong role, no, ng Philippine Air Force with regards to the monitoring of mga UAVs na ito?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Sa commercial, ma'am, wala, but we are working closely with CAAP for airspace monitoring. So we coordinate our monitoring with them, ma'am. Especially for commercial. Yes, ma'am.
Commercial, pero yung what about yung territorial lang na natin?
Same, ma'am. We do the same.
So you can monitor kapag merong Chinese drone na pumapasok sa bansa natin o kung merong US drone na pumapasok sa bansa natin, Mr. Chair?
We have our capability, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kaya ko tinatanong to, no, yung regulations, yung ganyan. Mahalaga po na malaman natin kung safe yung bansa natin at yung soberanya natin. Mas ganun pa yung concern ko, Mr. Chair, kasi yung iba naman, they do it as a hobby, ganyan, etc. Unless nag-i-impede lang talaga at may safety concerns nga, yun yung mga ano. And with the current situation ng Pilipinas, tapos yung technology ng ibang mga lugar, parang hindi tayo at par talaga, Mr. Chair. So kailangan talaga natin ng kung i-regulate natin, maayos na regulation para dito sa drones na ito. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, may
Yeah.
I recognize?
Please, the Honorable Plato is recognized.
Regarding this bill of Congressman Mike Tan, this is a laudable House bill, Mr. Chair. It's about time that the government has to regulate the ownership operation of drones. Siguro ang CAAP magpa ng guidelines or exceptions and to be properly disseminated in all forms of media, including social media. Saka po, you get comments from all stakeholders, including, sabi nga ni Congressman Brosas, lobbyists. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Chairman of the Committee on Franchises is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just have two questions actually. Are we aware of a current agency that is in charge of regulating the ownership on drones? Meron po tayong existing na ahensya?
To the chair, it's CAAP that is regulating the ownership.
So what have we done to prevent accidents? Drone accidents. Ano po maging polisiya po natin?
Accident.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
it is included in Part 8 of the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations, Your Honor. It is incorporated. We have a regulation on that. It is under Part 8 of the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations.
Which states?
Let me pull out the provision, Your Honor.
Okay. So while we're waiting for that, my next question is, do we know how many accidents have happened in the year 2022? How many drone-related accidents? Do we have data for that?
Your Honor, we currently do not have data on that because we just recently implemented our safety reporting for drones. However, we have several reports. These reports, we have not yet collated this one because these are sent to the different offices of the CAAP. But currently, Your Honor, we are monitoring these accidents and incidents, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're now monitoring it, but moving forward, since you don't have data of the past, what are you doing to prevent this from happening in the future? Meron po ba tayo? Okay, you have the policy in paper already. Is there any anyone or any group that does nothing but monitor these drones on a daily basis? How do you police it? How do you manage it?
Can I refer Captain Don Mendoza?
Yes,
He's the
please.
head of FSIS.
Sino po sila?
I am Captain Don Mendoza, sir, from the Flight Standard Inspectorate Service. Right now, sir, as per the regulations, we regulate the drones and we issue licenses and certifications for the drones. The current regulation we have right now is that drones can only fly up to 400 feet. And the operator of the drone, which is 7 kilograms up, should be licensed, duly licensed from CAAP. So below 7 kilograms, we require the operator to be licensed likewise for commercial purposes, which are surveys, weddings, and everything of the like. And then the rest, the only problem we have right now, sir, are those drones which are being sold off the shelves. But CAAP has an existing regulation under Part 8, which is operations. Lahat na po yun, aeroplano, drones, mga gliders, na nakasulat po doon sa PICAR Part 8.
Do you think that is sufficient to be able to control them and to make sure that accidents related to drones will not happen? Sa pamako yung paragraph 8 niyan, which covers more than drones. Hindi lang ho nakafocus sa drones yan.
Yes, Your Honor. As being stated by Attorney Aris earlier, that there is an ongoing collaboration with the ILG, DOJ, and Philippine National Police, because CAAP's mandate is only for the regulatory purposes. And we are coordinating for the enforcement.
So the enforcement is not your responsibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
So kung may mangyari, turuan na naman to. Para turo tayo sa PNP, turo tayo sa...
It's not that, Your Honor. Hindi po magtuturuan, kundi nagpapatulong lang po kami for the enforcement of the regulations.
Yes, pero yun nga, kasi hindi ho kayo ang mag-enforce. So therefore, if something happens, something major accident happens, you will always say na ang enforcement wala ho sa amin eh.
That's why, Your Honor, if I may say, we need some law to enact on this side of the drone operations for enforcement.
Do you confirm that you do not have the capability to enforce this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
If mandated.
That's something that has to be studied. No? And so I think that is something that we should also look at. Do you think that we should already really look into this? Dapat isabatas na natin ito.
Yes, Your Honor.
Marami na ba talagang aksidente nangyayari?
As mentioned kanina, wala pa pong mga major, mga sightings lang po na may mga palanding na aeroplano, may mga drone sa tabi na mga maliliit na sinasabay ng aeroplano sa nire-report man po ng mga piloto. Pero accidents, wala pa po kung...
Pero sa paningin ho nyo, ito po kasi dati ho nung ako vice mayor ng Parañaque, pinag-uusapan yung mga ibon. No? Yung pag-breed ng mga ibons na malapit sa airport na pinagbawal ho namin. Pero meron pa rin sumisingit. Okay, ngayon, kasing delikado ba yan ng mga ibon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit?
For one thing, if it is being ingested in the engine of an aircraft, it can result into an engine shutdown or a major damage to the aircraft fuselage if mayroon pong direct hit.
Yung drone.
Yung drones.
Okay. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Any other member who wish to interpolate? Hearing none. DG Tamayo. Kayo po ang nagre-regulate ng use ng drones.
To the chair, at this point, yes, sir. We license and then we register these drones based on, yun nga yung sinabi kanina, whether it's used commercially or by weight, 7 kilograms and above.
Yes. Why is it sale not regulated? Should there be a point of sale regulatory policy after sales reporting or registration? Parang baril ba? Para ma-monitor. Kung i-regulate natin kasi yung sale, mapipilitan na yung bumibili, i-register niya. Parang baril ba? Pag bibili ka ng baril, nire-register ka agad nung dealer. Di po ba? At least, makikita natin dito, meron na tayong database kung sino ang may drone. Would you propose that we also regulate the sale of drones? Just like guns?
We agree, Mr. Chair.
They can acquire, tama ba? They can acquire sa ibang bansa. So how do you regulate yung sa ibang bansa na binili, di ba, Mr. Chair?
Ay di pag-isipan ng CAAP yun. Kasi sila ang regulator eh. Parang ini-smuggle na yung drones kung meron tayong batas na i-regulate natin yung sale.
Mr. Chair, what about the drones na galing din sa ibang bansa na papasok dito sa ating bansa? May regulation tayo doon.
Or what?
Kahit anong drones na pumapasok from ibang bansa.
Oh.
Di ba merong ganoon? May kakayanan naman ng mga drones. Sa Ukraine nga ang war talaga. Sabi nga natin, drones na ang labanan. Even sa ibang mga bansa.
I agree, Mr. Chair, that we should regulate this if it is commercially or imported. Ipareho lang ho natin sa guns na chine-check natin kung ano yung pinapasok, maybe through the Bureau of Customs or something. Pagka ho nakita nilang drone, then we mandate them to register this.
At least meron tayong database kung
Yes.
sino ang may-ari ng drones dito sa atin.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
At the
kasi yung baril, di ba? Namomonitor natin kung sino yung may baril eh.
I agree, sir. At the same time,
at the point of regulation, we should start from the sale.
yes, sir.
I do not know.
We can study, sir.
Kasi ikino-compare ko lang sa pagbili ng baril na nare-register, nalalaman natin kung sino ang may-ari. Kasi kung i-regulate lang natin, ang dami-daming bibili, we do not know. Kung may aksidente, we do not even know kung kaninong drone yun.
Agree, sir.
Yun lang ang point ng chair. So, any other comment on this? Yes, the Honorable Brosas.
Mr. Chair, malaking trabaho yun, How will they do that? Kasi ngayon nga, with the current conditions, yung monitoring pa lang ng pagpasok ng hirap na or walang capability, no, Mr. Chair. Yun yung sinabi kanina eh. Walang capability na kahit ma-monitor eh. Actually, nagkaroon nga kami ng House resolution sa pagpasok ng US drones dito sa ating bansa eh. We would like to investigate that kasi pumapasok ng hindi natin nalalaman, Mr. Chair. But anyway, kung yun nga hindi pa natin na-monitor, paano pa kaya yung mga regulation na ito? Yun yung gusto namin malaman paano nangyayari or siguro sa security sector yun, Mr. Chair, no, na itatanong. But anyway, yun lang. Generally, the concept is good, pero yun nga, kung hindi ma-monitor yun and we cannot regulate it, encroachment of our territory yun. At soberanya ng bansa natin ang nakataya doon. Napaka-importante at napakahalaga sa atin noon. Ito pa, isa pang andana nung no, Mr. Chair.
Kaya nga Kwan we have to distinguish between commercial drones and the military drones. Yes. Wala tayong magawa dun sa Kwan. I think that's up for the security sector kung paano nila i-monitor yung entry of military drones into our airspace. Ganon yun eh. We're speaking of, kaya dun sa batas natin, are we limiting it to commercial drones? What do you say? We just limit it to commercial drones?
Through the chair, as far as CAAP is concerned, we are limited to commercial. Pagdating ho yung military, sa defense ho dapat yon.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I just would like to make a comment. What's the difference between a military drone and a commercial drone? Pasensya lang po hindi ko lang po siya alam to me, a drone is a drone depending on the usage, because regardless if it's military or commercial, it will still affect if it's there at nakasalubong ng airplane at pumasok na ingest ng engine yan, aksidente pa rin yan.
Sir, as far as the military drones are concerned, I leave it up to the defense to clarify on that. Pero kami, sir, is mostly commercial lang kami.
Pero will you agree if it goes into your airspace, that will still be a hazard for the planes?
Definitely, sir.
A military drone.
Definitely,
Thank you, sir.
definitely.
Yes.
I'll just try to attempt to answer your question. I just asked my regional office for a couple of definitions because through the CAAP, there is a need to harmonize some terminologies. Now, the proposed bill, it says RPAS. RPAS is only one sector of types of drones. RPAS being these are, according to my regional office, these are the big ones that have a proper pilot in a ground cockpit, like a military one. So that might answer your question, and are equipped like a normal IFR aircraft, and so can operate in controlled airspace like other IFR aircraft. That's flight information research.
That is a military drone.
That's normally a military drone. It's a very loose definition because you can also have commercial drones that are operated by pilots on the ground. But in general, these are the military types, the ones we see sa mga US Air Force. While on the other hand, the UAS or unmanned aerial systems are the smaller commercial types that we hold in our hands. These are the smaller end of the community of drones and have at the moment are primarily flown with a handheld remote, and most operate within line of sight, although the push is on to go beyond line of sight. Much of UAS activity happens in uncontrolled airspace below certain altitudes, but more and more will need to be integrated into into controlled airspace, which is what really, in a sense, IATA and is also helping monitor. I take this opportunity also to commend the CAAP for its efforts in providing guidance, in developing guidelines for drones. CAAP works very closely with this ICAO, which is really the overall global body that leads the effort among countries, also among the different civil aviation authorities in developing guidelines for drones. We are not the only country that has to continue developing drones given the cutting edge technology. Like the chairman mentioned, is a very dynamic industry. So other countries are similarly situated also in developing similar guidelines, and CAAP will have access to all the wealth of knowledge that ICAO can provide also. Thank you.
A follow-up question. There were drones that were shot down in the US airspace, allegedly from China. Are these military drones or commercial drones?
I can only speculate.
Okay,
They sound like
it's commercial.
I don't know.
You don't. So you don't have an answer to that.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yung representative ng defense, ano ang masasabi niyo rito? Have you seen a combat drone?
Yes, sir. usually, sir, for military, sir, these drones are used for military purposes, sir, military drones. So basically, more on surveillance, sir, reconnaissance, sir, and usually have a better, higher performance compared to commercial drones, sir, off the shelf. They have a longer range and usually they're bigger. So,
Yeah. Kasi may mga even in military drones may separate, meron pa silang classification eh. So, pabayaan na lang natin dyan sa experts sa security sector. DG Tamayo, ilimit lang natin sa commercial drones. And you must have a definition of what a commercial drone is.
We shall come up with a definition, sir.
Now, you said that you only regulate drones with a 7 kilogram weight. Tama? Did I hear you right?
Yes, sir. 7 kilograms.
7 kilograms up, yun ang
Up.
nire-regulate nyo. Below 7 kilograms, hindi nyo nire-regulate.
Unless, sir, it is used for commercial purposes like photography and
Kung,
like.
hindi ba mayroong mga tao na, grupo na mga enthusiasts, nagre-racing na sila ng drones? Is that under your jurisdiction na dapat ma-regulate? Kasi kaya ako tinatanong ito dahil sinabi nyo kanina, at present, 7 kilograms and up. How about below?
Sir, if I may.
Yes,
the certificate of registration are required for all RPAs used for commercial operations. And these are supposed to be registered with us regardless of weight.
Regardless of weight.
Yan hong commercial, being used for commercial.
Yes.
For non-commercial large RPA, 7 kilograms and above, shall be duly registered with the CAAP. Yes, sir.
Kaya ngayon ang tanong ko yung below.
Yung below, sir, 7 kilograms, if it is used for commercial, then it has to be registered.
Kasi dito sa issue na ito, the primordial concerns are privacy, security, and safety.
Agree, sir.
Would you agree with that?
I agree, sir.
Yes. Now, kung hindi natin i-control yung load limit, di ba? Kino-control ba natin yung load limit ng drone?
We don't have the capability, sir, to control the load limit.
Kasi kung hindi
this
natin
time.
i-control yun, 2.5 kilograms of C4 can blow up a car, a single home, or derail a railway. 2.5 kilograms of C4 on a drone can blow up a car, a home, or a railway. So, what do we do with that?
Sir, as far as the where these drones can operate, sa airports naman po, they are not allowed to fly above 400 feet, and they should not be operated within 10 kilometers of the airport. For critical locations, like let's say railways and the like, ganun din ho ang limitation natin. Ang problema ho talaga namin is how to control and regulate this. Now, for drones that are sold commercially, meron ho kasing nakalagay na dito na device that it cannot be flown within 10 kilometers and above 400. Ang nagiging problema na override ho ito, natatanggal nila yung feature na yon para hindi siya makalipad sa mga restricted airspace.
What I'm trying to say is, hindi ba natin i-control yung load limit niya?
Kasi right now, sir, as I said, hanggang 7 kilograms lang tayo. But we have no way of saying kung may load siya eh. Because nga yung ano namin, yung problema namin sa on how to actually regulate this. Yung wala ko kaming ano eh, enforcement arm as far as the drones are concerned.
So, we need to come up with a law para magkakaroon kayo ng capacity to enforce. Tama?
Agree, sir.
Then, any other member who wish to interpolate before the chair would rule on the matter?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, I move that we create a technical working group to study the proposed measure and refine its provisions. I move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. And the chair would like to direct the CAAP to take hold of the proposed measure and try to come up together with your existing regulations to come up with a proposed bill so that will be the working draft for the TWG.
We shall comply, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So is there any other matter that the members would like to take up with the resource persons regarding the issues that we have discussed? Hearing none, I would like to thank everyone for your active participation into this hearing. Rest assured that all your inputs and recommendations will be considered in the crafting of the measures by this committee. At least hindi ko tinalo si Chairman Barbers. On that note, would anyone
Mr.
move
Chair?
to terminate this meeting?
Before we adjourn, Mr. Chair, can I comment?
Before
Konti lang.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
before.
The Honorable Plato is recognized.
This representation as a member of this committee would like to give credit where credit is due. In this regard, I congratulate the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or the CAAP, for a job well done on the corrective maintenance works conducted on its air management system, which was supposed to close the local airspace for 2 hours. Both the domestic carrier, the Philippine Airlines, and the Cebu Pacific have reported, however, that all their scheduled flights were able to depart and arrive on schedule from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. yesterday, May 17, 2023. For Air Asia, as reported, it has lagged in 98% on-time performance for flights scheduled during the maintenance period. To quote a news report, CAAP was supposed to stop aviation activities in the Philippines for 2 hours yesterday morning to replace the UPS, the uninterruptible power supply of its air traffic management system. Alam po niyo, Mr. CAAP, pag may ginawa naman kayo tama, congratulate ko namin, you know, our chairman, talagang pag may mali, let's say nangyari sa January 1st, May 1st, saka si Mr. Congressman Tambunting and also Congressman Brosas here, talagang magsasalita po kami kasi yan ang trabaho namin dito eh. However, CAAP installed the new UPS within an hour. Congratulations, CAAP, for job well done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Totoo naman po yung sinabi ni Kong Plato. Di po ba, Madam Arlene? Yes. Ang question lang, mukhang may kailangan si Kong Plato sa CAAP, ano?
Di ako, Mr. Chair, di tayo nagbibiyahe?
Di, biro lang naman yun.
Kami, pareho tayo.
Ako meron, Mr. Chair.
Nakabreak kami ng three times, hindi tayo nagbiyahe. Tayo ni Congresswoman Brosas. Di ba? Hindi tayo nagbiyahe. Wala akong biyahe. Tagal ako nagbiyahe.
Yes, please identify yourself. Ace? Kung Ace?
No,
Yes. You're
I- I just mentioned na ako ang may kailangan sa CAAP. Just wanted to put that on record.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take note of that.
Yes, sir, we'll take note of that. And on behalf of CAAP and the OTR, I'd like to extend our appreciation for the recognition. We are doing our best to be proactive, as mentioned several times to me by the Honorable Chair. That's why what we're doing now is we inform our stakeholders beforehand. Para ho, tsaka yung pag-upgrade namin, what we're doing is upgrading, it's not maintenance, so that hindi ho mangyari uli yung nangyari in the past. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any member who wish to speak? Hearing none, can we have the favorite motion?
Chair, move for adjournment.
Hearing no objection, the motion is hereby carried. The hearing is hereby adjourned. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Your Honor.